guys, I wanted to go ahead and do that quick composite for you on the baby hanging in the, what do we call that, like a sling, baby sling. What we do here, just so the baby's comfortable and it's not a session ender, is generally if mom does request that shot, we'll do it first while baby's still getting cozy and falling to sleep, just so it doesn't disrupt anything later. But we actually photograph the sling with something inside of it. I would suggest something kind of along the same tones that helps kind of fill it out and give it that roundness, and also gives it a little bit of a tug, a little bit of pull on it, so it appears that something is hanging in there. So we would have that, and you could already have that shot on several backgrounds to have in your library. But the one thing I would suggest is to make sure that your lighting direction is exactly how it's going to be when you're shooting the baby. So however, if you want to stock up on images like this to have ready, then you don't have to do this while the baby's, you know, sleeping, and you could be doing other things. So this is ready. Here's the image that we took of the baby in the same wrap. Now, you don't have to have this pulled out so far. We were kind of trying to do this really quick in a hurry, and I would have done that differently, but you'll see that it's not going to affect anything. You do want to make sure that you have these turned in edges right here, and you'll see why in a couple of minutes. So just with a messy little selection tool, I just went around and grabbed an area, and I'm going to Control C or Command C on a Mac, and then I'm going to Command V, paste it onto this image. And at that point, I'm going to make a layer mask, and I'm going to resize it. Just going to Control T and get my little corners, and I'm going to bring it down until he's about the size that I want to hang in there. And I'm going to say that that looks about natural right there. So go ahead and hit enter, and then I'm going to change my opacity down on that layer just so I can kind of see where we're at and figure out where the best spot is to put his little hands and his head. So let's try that. We can always move it later if we need to. And then while it's still a low opacity, I'm going to take my layer mask on black, my brush on black, and I'm going to erase. And I'm going to do this really sloppy and just get it out of the way. I know I'm erasing too much. There we go. And make sure that we raise the opacity back up. And now I'm going to brush him back in by switching this color to white. So you can do that with your X key. And now white's going to replace what we erased there. So what you want to make sure, and the nice thing about these newborn slings is that they're nubby. So this is going to be very forgiving around here as I go through. And if you can do it kind of in a nubby fashion, you'll see that it looks really natural, and it's almost undetectable what you're going to end up with here. So babies, those beautiful full-haired babies, but it sure makes a little more work for us. But this is honestly how we get the peaceful sleeping looking shots like this. If you try to do this with the baby actually hanging and, you know, somebody supporting the baby and this and that, it's kind of a nightmare. So for us, this is a really quick, easy way to do this shot and end up with something that's really pleasing to mom. So I'm just erasing all of that off of him. And like I said, I want to kind of keep this nubby texture here. And that's the thing to look for if you are looking to purchase an item like this. Make sure that you get one that doesn't have, you know, such precise knitting that you're going through a lot of trouble. Okay. So you can see now he's safe and snug in there. At this point, I would just flatten that, and I would retouch his skin and whatever needed to be done. I'd probably go into Liquify and shape the basket a little bit better. It's not totally necessary. I'm just kind of nitpicky about stuff like that. But you see why the light direction is so important, that you have that, because you want it to appear that it was done at the same time, obviously. So basically that's really all I would do. In that first image, he was just laying on a rug. We propped a little pillow up just to tilt him towards me because I wanted to make sure that he was parallel to me rather than, sometimes when you're standing over a baby, I'll see that people shoot at an angle and the bottom of the baby is closer to them. And so you want to get to where you're completely parallel with the baby, because when you do switch to this next shot, that is hanging parallel. So anyway, I hope that was easy enough to understand. I hope it makes that type of shot easier on you in the future. Let me know what you think.